Good morning, YouTube followers. The next project in the shop today is going to be this beautiful Four Winds, humongous boat. He bought the boat by how much towing capacity he had on his Suburban, and this maxes it out. 9,600 pounds. Biggest boat he could buy in tow. And he has an isinglass enclosure that came with it, but he wants screens. Of course, here in the desert, screens are king. So he had to get all the number 8 zipper. Really hard to film that. Number 8 all the way around. And then we're not going to use the white because of the counterfeit white zipper. We just use black. We don't know if we have any of the counterfeits or not. So we just don't use them. So that's the first step. And then of course down on the windshield, quick fit pins. And we've got some material cut and our staplers, and we're ready to go. Alright, continuing on this massive, beautiful four winds. We have got the forwards finished, working on the sides. Did not leave myself enough room in between the racks and the boat. So we were 1 foot on the rack and 1 foot on half on a ladder, and we got her done. So we'll get those down and get those on the table for fabrication. Bring the whole front end together. Alright, we are on the four winds here, and we're working on the front. But I got kind of burnt out, and it was late in the day, so I set this aside. This is Saturday morning, and I get the whole shop to myself, nice and quiet. So I decided I didn't want to work on this, so I started working on the back. And we've got the sides hung. And again, it was really hard to get this particular boat to sit as if it was sitting in the water. I've got the nose of the trailer darn near on the ground, so that the floor of the boat is level. And that way, when I get the mesh of the screen, which is really hard to see, yeah, I guess if you compare it to the racks, we're pretty level. And to me, that just seems important when it sits on the water. I don't want the mesh of the screen to be diagonal. It looks funny to me. So proper attitude in the water and getting the screen, the mesh of the screen, to be horizontal is always my goal. Now, to tackle these corners, again, I'm self-taught, so it was some trial and error. Sometimes I'll staple them together, and then I'll just cut the staples off. Hard to get a straight line when you do that. It's a lot of restapling. What I've come up with lately is just to overlay, cut them long, and then I will notch it at the top where the two come together. I'll lay them right on top of each other, and then just put a clip. So each one's just got a little cut at the top. See that? There it is. That little flat right there, and then this one has the same thing, that flat, that notch right there. And then I'll transfer to the outside of the boat. Yeah, I had him put the boat way too close to the rack. I can't even get a ladder in there. And then I'll do the same thing here on the outside, where the two meet, just the notch. So I have that flat, and then on this one I have the flat. And so when I draw the line between those two, when it's flat on the table, it turns out quite well. There have been a few boats that fought me on that theory just because there were compound angles coming around the dang corner. But for the most part, that works out well. Just a notch at the top, a notch at the bottom where I want it to start, where I want it to end. And then when they're on the table, just connect the two. And actually, I connect them, and I'll remove about 1/4 of an inch. Just the zipper teeth width is all from each panel. And that makes up for what the zipper adds. So that's the method that I have for joining the two panels in the corner. Other than that, we're just quick fit pins at the bottom. I'm stapled to the zipper going up the ketter, and I'm stapled to the top of the bimini zipper and across the top for the back piece. I haven't put the door on yet, but that was a piece I was getting ready to cut, but I thought I'd come in here and shoot a couple of minutes of video for the Sailrite group and the do-it-yourselfers. This is how I sort it out. Probably better ways, but I get results. We'll pick it up at the table. some zipper shield here on the Conso 255 RBL-25. These are just 2-inch strips. I'm going to fold it in half. I'm set to the longest stitch because this will be sewn again. And this is just about as fast as I can sew these. If I go any faster, we start to break the thread. And I actually have to have a magnet here to hold the thread inside the track because it'll whip it out of there. Get that open so you can see. Here we go. Mark it for the snap length. This is 5 1/4 from the snap. That's from the center of the pin to the edge of 5 1/4. Connect the dots, and then mark it on the top as well. This is the back, and this is where it has that funny jive around the railing. We're going to make a slice there and do those separate, because this is going around the corner of the boat. It's not too drastically hard. Let's see how that goes. Terrible. Slice right between them. This is going to be the doorway. Notch at the bottom, and my crooked notch at the top. is the one that's the judgment call. As you can see, it doesn't staple exactly perfect, so we need to straighten that line just a bit. But you got to be careful because the zipper was where the zipper was. That's pleasing. That's the stern. Know that this is going around the boat, and this was the last nest. So I'm going to add I'm going to cut this one in half.
As far as the cassette is concerned, which we hail here, and we salute on Classic Rewind every day.
And again, we have to try and
the best way to
use that line. That's the this is the bimini. That would be the Ketter.
In quality, didn't they? Some were really thin, and others were heavier duty plastic. But I remember not giving up my Sony Walkman and all those cassettes until probably 1990. I mean, the CDs were already around, but they were kind of expensive, I thought. Anyway, I trusted in you. I stayed with you. I was loyal. Cassette. But the CDs and their players were released on this date in 1983. And I recall a little pricey. Christine Stone on Sirius XM Classic Rewind with Queen.
Just inside that cut. The best way to make sure you're staying on track is to sew right on up to a staple, so there's no wrinkles between the needle and the staple. Then you know you're right back on track for where it was when it was stapled to the boat. Because I found it does, as I'm pulling these out, it does stretch the zipper a little bit, and you got to cram it back together as you sew it on to make it comply. If it's ever really hard, it's just paying attention to what you're doing and keeping your brain wrapped around inside, outside, top, bottom, port, starboard, because backing up sucks. Don't mind wasting material, but the extra time really irritates. We got some serious wrinkles we have to gather here. And then again, we get right up to a staple, so there's no wrinkle. So I know this is pretty much where it goes. It looks wrinkled and horrible, but that's where it was on the boat. So we can't really change it. If you try flattening it out, it won't zip on the boat. Ask me how I know. I have tried before to just sew right across the staples. I wouldn't advise it. They're really hard to get out if you do that. It doesn't really affect the machine too much if you hit one. Most of the time it just pushes the staple out of the way. And then you're left trying to dig a broken staple out. But they are a lot harder to get out if you just sew across the top of them. Alright, now just because the strings do, you can see them right there, there's some strings sticking out. It is a white string in the weave, and they look terrible. And that will be the lip that's turned down toward the customer. So we just like to singe it off, because if it grows, it will get caught in the zipper. And it just takes a minute to burn that proper. Alright. Now, because we can't get the foot right up next to the starter box, we're going to have to favor it when we fold it under. I'm going to give it a little extra to make it match the rest. My hand was probably blocking that the whole time, but it was just a roll it under and get the teeth facing up. And you sew it right on so that you're sewing through the screen twice and the zipper again. And it gives you a beautiful double sewn zipper. So we'll repeat that for the other 4 pieces for the rear enclosure. All right. I want to talk about the bottom edge for just a moment, and how I do it versus how I've seen it done. Again, I don't have any real formal training in this. I've just gone down on the dock and picked apart other people's covers and stolen all their fabrication ideas and see what works and what don't. The boss and I walked the docks and looked at pretty much every boat out there because he's a boat owner, a slip renter. So we could be on any dock we wanted and looking at different boats and how things are fabricated. And I've kind of taken mine away from everybody else's. The common that I see is people take webbing or strap and they'll sew it down right where the snaps go. And then they'll bind that edge. And I've done that on a few. Stuff that I know is not going to be in the sun. The problem we have here in Las Vegas in the middle of the desert is our humidity is 7% at 120 degrees in the middle of the summer. And on a white boat especially, and it doesn't matter if it's black webbing or white webbing, the sun bounces off the boat and hits the webbing on the back side, and this just turns to strings. It disintegrates. And the canvas is still fine. So they have, another 2 years left, 3 years left on their canvas, on their boat cover, but all the webbing where the snaps are, it's dust. It's turned to string, all the snaps are pulling out, and we repair a lot of covers that have done that way. So I wanted to find a new method because I don't want my covers coming back. So what we do is a double hem. With raw edges, especially with Sunbrella, not so much with the screen, but with Sunbrella and raw edges, you have to bind it, burn it, or bury it. And burning it doesn't always forever seal it. It will start fraying again if you burn it. So bind it or bury it. So what we're going to do is flip it over. This is the outside of the cover. We'll flip it over, and I'm going to do a double under hem. That line that I have, that's 2 inches. That was 5 1/4. So if I fold it once, still have a live edge. If I fold it again, now that snap is going to be right in the middle of my triple thick double hem. And we found it just works fantastic. We don't have to, it takes a little extra time, and of course we're overkill over here on the Conso 339 double needle. Everything is overkill. But that's why we have the reputation we have. We do the best covers you can buy in the valley. So I'm going to fold it right on that line. There's a little bit of a tape there. Let's see. You have to turn a bit of a corner, just put a slice there. Sew over. We can pull all the place markers out. They have served their purpose. They help me keep oriented as to the inside and the outside. Obviously this is the inside because it snaps to the boat. But now the bottom hem will take over that job because I know the hem goes to the inside of the boat. So we've got the first fold, we're going to fold it over again, and then if we look, the holes that the pins just left are right in the middle. They're right smack in the middle of that. Keeping it pushed up tight in there to make sure this stays 2-inch. And then just for absolute overkill, and to ensure that we know this is one of our covers, I'm going to double sew it down again with Tanar thread. There we go. That's how we do the bottom of our covers. From the inside, you can see that lip. From the outside, it's just 2 rows of double stitch. And when the cover fits right, the snap, twist lock, but whatever fastener falls right in the middle of your 2-inch. But you do have that little bit of gimme. If things didn't quite fit right, you can still be within that and it looks good. So, again, this is the back. The next step is going to be the zipper for the side and the zipper for the gate. So we'll move back over to the single needle to execute those. Alright, this is the back panel. We're looking from the outside of the boat at the back of the boat. This would be the gate. So we need to get a zipper ready for the gate. Here's my zipper shield. It was 2-inch, folded in half and sewn, and that's going to go down first. Get some tape. These could be done without seam stick tape. It just goes faster. And here in the commercial setting, I'm just trying to save the customer money. So any shortcuts I can take. And then we have a guy comes around and cleans all the goo out of the machine. Every month or so. We'll have him come in and do a service on the machine. Now, just like the zipper, I'm gluing it on the right side, on the outside, with the top facing the wrong way. And I'll glue the zipper right on top of it in the same fashion on the right side facing the wrong way. And again, anytime we have a raw edge next to a zipper, we burn for looks and for those strings will get in the zipper. Bob Seger is performing tonight in Las Vegas. Sadly, this Michigan native has a wedding to go to. Alright, then another layer of tape, and then we tape the zipper down. This just keeps it all in place as I go flying past it with the needle. We're going to pull out a number 10, YKK number 10, separating zipper with a locking pole. Go ahead and put in a notch for the fold under. And I like to think about these before I put them on. This is the back, this will be the gate. A lot of times the gate is just removed. They will take the gate off, or rather than roll it up, they'll just take the gate off. So I think I want the pull to go with the gate. So if they take the gate off, the pull will stay. So that would mean the male is, or the female is going to be on the gate. So we want the male on the back. If you look at the end, you can tell the male from the female, the box from the blade. So we want the male to be on this side. And we're going to run it right up to where the bottom of the zipper is. Make sure that is the blade. And the key with zippers is don't pull. Just lay it in place. You need to push and pull when you're going around corners. If you're going down a straight, don't pull it. Just tap it into place. Get it lined up with your edge and tap it into place and then mash it. Because we try not to deform them at all. It does make a difference over time on how the zippers behave. Tight zippers just don't behave well for a customer. So we just lay them on there just so they're straight and then mash them on in. Somebody forgot to forward the calls. Fold it under. Slow it down. Again, when it comes up next to the box or the starter, you need to kind of push it over a little bit on the second pass because you can get a little bit closer. Uh-oh. Bobbing. You hate it when that happens. We'll just edit all that out. How's that? It'll look like a simple blurb. And then when I sew the male to the gate, I will use the bottom as the start reference point to make sure that they're even at the bottom, and then it should match at the top. Again, if I don't stretch the zipper when I'm laying it down, it should be at the top and the bottom right where it needs to be. More importantly, visually pleasing, it needs to match at the bottom because the top is tucked up under the bimini where it's really not seen. This one will be in the corner, and it really doesn't matter, male, female, which side is which. Again, right side wrong way. Now we'll flip it around and sew it down again. So the starter box, you gotta kind of favor it a little bit right at the beginning. Good lock stitch. Pre-crease, we should be able to run. Let's crank it up. That's as fast as we can go right there without breaking thread. These consoles really are nice machines. Although I have never sewed on a Juki, I have sewn on a Adler, but I didn't have the servo motor on the Adler. That would have been fun to have that. It was the old clutch style, and it was a challenge, but nice machine. This is that goofy transition by the railing. Probably go ahead and put some binding on that just to close that off. That'll be two different angles. One sits right behind the railing and the other one's going to wrap around the side of the boat, so it's kind of a weird. Each boat is individual. You never know what you're going to run into with railings and biminis and hardware that's been put on the boat for not even the owner knows why it was there. We had to tell him it was a barbecue grill mount. Right. He didn't get the barbecue when he bought the boat, which he was disappointed with. Called the seller. Where's the barbecue? Alright, that is, I'm going to bind that, but I'll say that's done. It has the zipper shield, zipper ready to go around the starboard side, zipper shield and zipper ready to go to the gate.